Okay. Good evening. I'd like to call the Olivet City Council meeting to order. It is Tuesday, September 26th. It is 7 o'clock. We are at the City Center at 1140 Dillman Road in Olivet, Missouri, 63132. Roll call, please.
Mayor Weil,
Present.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Here.
Councilmember Clark,
Present.
Councilmember Carl,
Here.
Councilmember Knox.
Here.
Next item, please.
Item 2, communications. We have no written communications.
Next item, please.
Item 3, city manager's report.
All right, good evening, everybody. City manager's report. First, I'd like to just go over a few upcoming events. First and foremost, we have, I believe, the last 2 park openings. The first is this coming Thursday, September 28th at Indian Meadows Park. This is the rescheduled time. Originally, it was going to be in August, and then a massive rainstorm came through. So it'll be this Thursday, September 28th from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. in Indian Meadows Park. And then on October 14th is the Villa Park opening, which is also the movie in the park. And the movie this year is going to be Pan, and that begins at 6 p.m. So we would love to see all of you out there for those 2 events. October 11th is the next coffee with the mayor at 8:45. It'll be here in the chamber. And the mayor will be speaking with our Parks and Recreation Director, Beverly Tucker Knight, and she's going to give a virtual tour of the new community center, 5 Oaks on Warson. So that'll be, they're finishing up construction, so it'll be a good kind of sneak peek before everybody is able to come in at the grand opening, November 5th, that first Sunday in November. And then lastly, we have the turkey trot, which of course is Thanksgiving morning. We already have at least 180 registrants, adults and kids alike. So you can walk or run with us on Thanksgiving Day. The kids have a fun run. And then if you can't make it Thanksgiving Day, there's an option for that virtual 5K. So this is the 10th year that we've done the Olivet Turkey Trot. So we would love to have you join us. And that starts at Stacy Park. Additional news around town is the 5 Oaks on Warson. So like I said, we're going to open that at the beginning of November. So they are taking membership rates. They're not going to charge you until the center opens, but you can certainly get your membership ahead of time. The community center is going to have a variety of vendors there that are going to present classes. And particularly some things for our seniors in the area from Oasis and then United Health and Renew Active. So we look forward to seeing people at the new community center. We also have the Great Olivet Clean Out, which is Friday, October 20th. So if you have electronics, almost anything with a cord, if you have paper that you want shredded, or if you have old medicines that you would like to get rid of, come on out to Stacy Park, which is Friday, October 20th from 4 to 7 p.m. And the shredders and the recyclers will be there to take those items off your hands.
Jennifer?
Yeah.
Just want to make a quick note that something I found out that with our grant, you can turn in 2 TVs for free. Any more will cost. Let's
Okay.
just put that out.
Great.
Regardless of the 2.
Best of my knowledge, yes.
Yep. And then we have a new business coming to town that we know of, which is Latch Inc. They've announced that they're relocating to Olivet from New York City. They are taking the other half of the warehouse space on Price Road that Padel and Pickle is building their indoor pickleball court. So that is a great addition to our Olivet business community. And then last but not least, there is still time to take the comprehensive plan second survey. So the QR code is on screen. There's also a banner out in the lobby, and I think paper copies out in the lobby as well, if you would like. So please provide us your feedback on this last survey relative to the Olivet comprehensive plan. And that's all I have for right now.
Can you go back to the first slide?
Of course.
I did. Are there any questions from any of the council members?
This one?
Yes, so October 14th, 6 p.m. is moving the park. That will be with the ribbon cutting. So my understanding is that the ribbon cutting is between 6 and 6:30, and the movie will start at 6:30.
Okay,
So there's some festivities first, so I hope people will join us for that as well.
great.
Next item.
Item 4, city council reports.
I'll go to my right first. Councilmember Knox.
Yes, I opened the ribbon cutting of Irvside Park. Councilperson Missy Waldman was there, also Councilperson Sydney Clark, the city manager. And I thought we had a nice turnout there. There was dogs there. It's a dog day afternoon, I guess. And it was very nice. We had refreshments. The APA was there from down on Bauer, and so it was a
Dog
nice-
biscuits.
I didn't have my dog, I don't know.
Dog tags, dog
Yeah.
tags.
Really good.
Yeah, but it was a nice afternoon.
Great. Next, Chairman Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Several things to report on, but first I want to remind everyone that we do have the Municipal League. Municipal meetings are beginning again. And this one will be this Thursday night. If you all wish to attend, I am looking to try to tell you all who will be the primary speaker. And I don't have that in my notes, so I can't tell you that. But anyway, we'll be at the Kirkwood Performing Arts Building. You and I have been there a little bit earlier for a legislative roundtable. And if you can make it there, I hope you can. We are looking to finalize what the legislative subcommittee identified as legislative important matters for the Municipal League this year. And that will be getting presented to the cities that attend the October Municipal League meeting. And then we will identify all of the legislative matters that we will be dealing with and looking out for the upcoming legislative session. The October meeting will be at, the membership meeting will be at 7:00 p.m. October 26th, and that will be at the election board in St. Anne. And that's what I have for the Municipal League reporting to y'all for today. As my fellow council member noted, we did attend the ribbon cutting ceremony at Irvside Park, and dog tags and good fun stuff, cookies, chalk, and fun stuff there. On September 21st, I attended as the liaison on the Olivet City Planning Community Design Commission. Of which need to remind everyone that October 12th will be your advisory committee meeting, sir. October 26th, there will be a staff workshop. And then potentially November 30th, there will be the public open house meeting for the comp plan and what has been provided. As noted by the city manager, this comp survey, as reported, has been extended until October 6th. And we want everyone to know and encourage everyone to please attend. Mr. Trejo sends a report with regards to this meeting that is very specific. There's one thing I do want to note. There was one item that was deferred, and that was 46 Storyside Lane. They will be meeting with the neighbors at 46 Ramsgate and Carlos to begin working and coordinating on concerns with regards to the water runoff and the design of concept stormwater. And with that, Madam Mayor, I appreciate the time. I have nothing further to report.
Thank you. Councilmember Clark.
I too was at the Irvside Park. It was very refreshing to be at the park. I spent many years there as a child, and I truly underestimated just how beautiful that park is. It was really nice to be there. The chief did an excellent job in presenting the park to the public. There were lots and lots of dogs. I wish I had brought my own. I think she knew. My dog is a Psycho Pup. So, but either way, it was lots of really good cookies, and I'm really sorry for whoever wasn't able to go, but it was really a good attendance, and I'm glad I made it. That's all I have to report.
Councilmember Carl.
I will say that I unfortunately did not get to enjoy the dog biscuits, but so I appreciate the other members of the council being there. But other than that, the EDC meeting that would typically have been held yesterday was postponed. And the exact date has not been that I'm aware. Have you chosen which October 2nd?
Was it due to quorum?
No, it was due to Yom Kippur.
Oh, yeah,
Or
right.
I think you told me that.
Service. Okay.
Last Wednesday night on September 21st, actually September 20th, I attended the Parks meeting. We had a forum, we had a nice interaction. Patrick McGee led the meeting. He's the new, well, by a few months, Assistant Park Director. And it's really the amount of events coming with, on top of the opening of the Five Oaks. So I know it's, we made the analogy today of Fiddler on the Roof when the sewing machine came today. The TVs arrived for the workout rooms. And so when you're on the treadmills and riding and running, that you'll have that. And then also the copy machine came, and that was the big deal. So they're going to slowly start moving over as soon as possible. And we're gearing up for the ribbon cutting there, hopefully on Sunday, November 5th. And so it's just an exciting time for the Parks Commission with all the different events happening. So that's for the last week's meeting, and we'll move on to the next item, unless there's any questions about any of these meetings. Okay. Next item, please.
Item 5, staff reports.
So before we have the monthly financial report, we'll cover the rest of the departments, starting with the police department. So if you pull into the parking lot on the far side and you happen to see this large parking structure, that is the new covered parking for the police vehicles, which not only will protect all the electronics that are in all of our patrol vehicles, but also provide relief from snow and hail and damages to those vehicles. And I believe there is a plan to put solar panels on the roof, but they've not yet been installed. And then the community, the local Hindu community, and I apologize if I say this incorrectly, Swayamsevak Sanj is the local community. They celebrated with our police and firefighters their holiday of universal oneness called Raksha Bandhan. And it was a lovely ceremony held here in the chamber with children, and they gave the officers and the firefighters bracelets, and that was held one Saturday morning. The fire department has been out and about training our teachers and school staff at Emmanuel Lutheran Logos and Miriam High School on CPR, AED, and then their first aid training. So you can see some photos of that training. The Parks Department also kicked off youth soccer this month, and they had a big opening day festivity for all of the teams and the coaches. And the local professional indoor soccer team, the St. Louis Ambush, they joined us for the opening day festivities this year. And then Public Works. Public Works has a number of things going on, but this one is on its way to completion, which is the MSD sanitary relief project that's happening really through the Dealman Rock Island industrial area. So they're finished with everything east of Dealman, but now Bates Utility is boring a tunnel under the railroad corridor at the northwest end of the project. And then once they get that tunnel done, they'll connect that sanitary relief project. And then just general upcoming events, and then I'll turn it over for the finance report. So as you can see, there's a list of things going on, everything from Economic Development Commission happening October 2nd to a council workshop the 3rd, P&Z or Planning and Community Design is the 5th. We're having another council meeting the 10th. That advisory committee meeting for the comprehensive plans is happening the 12th, Parks and Recreations meeting the 18th, PCDC meets again the 19th, and Economic Development Commission again on the 23rd. So it is a full calendar for October.
Are there any questions about any of the departments? Chairman Pro Tem?
Thank you. And I'm not sure if it's going to be you or really Mr. McGregor providing a little bit of insight. So I read the paragraph
I
from
would
Rene-
direct it to Jennifer and then she'll
Okay.
decide.
I read the Ranieri construction paragraph. The mural has special clear top coat to resist graffiti, and GRG is analyzing. See, here's where I'm going. Analyzing pigeon control measures for the bridge girders, conduits, and an abutment wall. What are they doing?
So I don't know specifically what they're doing, but I'm assuming they are putting up or something that will deter the pigeons from roosting above the painting and
So that as you
dropping.
come under 170?
yeah, it's the area that comes up under 170.
Mhm.
And so we don't want the pigeons roosting up there
Okay.
and sharing their droppings on
Yeah.
the new painting.
Okay. Okay. I mean, just because it would be a sound tone or something or.
No, it's
whatever.
probably some spikes so that it
Okay.
makes it uninviting
Okay,
to make a
okay.
nest and
All
hang
right,
out there.
that just caught my attention. I'm like, well, how are they gonna do that? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Yackley, if you go back 2 slides to also to Mr. McGregor's report. So over where Rothwell Heights is, down towards their cul-de-sac, is
That's-
that part of the same project, all that dirt
Yes.
and dust?
Yes,
So is that coming to fruition as well right now, or?
it should be, and they should be doing restoration.
Okay, excellent. Next item, please. Oh, Mr. Mann.
I'm spared the staff reports. I just have to prepare the financial reports.
Item 6, monthly financial report.
Good evening.
Is there anything you would like me to pull up for you?
Oh, yeah, just that agenda item itself. I don't really have a whole lot to report, but there are some really nice looking graphs up there on our sales tax. As we're 2 months in, this is to the month of into the month of August. We don't see a whole lot of trends appearing. Our revenues are going to be slightly short on the community center because it's not open quite yet, and so there's expenses that follow that, and so we're showing a little bit under on both sides. And so for a net, it's not. I apologize for the non-favorable. It's a net favorable, positive or favorable variance of 67,000 for as 2 months are done with this. Sales taxes, okay, we're gonna see a little blip here. Property taxes won't do a whole lot. And then utility taxes are ever so slightly behind. As we look at this chart, the orange one is always our current year. And you can see we had a really good June. And then, okay, our second best August ever. And then we're gonna do a sneak peek now into what we're gonna look into for September. And we're right in the middle at the bottom half of that. And there's lots of things that go into all these figures. And so if we go to the next chart, you can kind of see where these run. Now, as we look at the green and white chart, the sales tax distributed, which is what we reflected in the chart below, that'll match if we were to line up all of those years. The white chart is what we actually collected within the city limits of the city of Olivet. And the difference is what we've shared to the rest of the county based on the sharing mechanism. And then, so if we look into September, you can see we saw not a drop in collections, but more of a drop, an increase in the sharing, and then an increase or decrease in what we've been distributed to the city. As we look at this chart, we haven't looked at it in a while. the January of 23, you can see a really high green mounts. It sustained itself through most of into June. And that's why we had a really good second half of our FY 23, because the collections were up and the sharing was almost nothing, or was nothing. And so that's good news for the region. It meant the region was doing well. Sales taxes were high all over. We weren't sharing, but then when it hits us, you can see it expands out, and then it really expanded out in August. That's the collections were hit a spike too. And then, you know, this chart doesn't mean a whole lot, the one we just discussed, but when you look at it over a year from 2017 all the way to up to this year, now in the FY 24 is the budget figure, you can see that this has increased at a nice little steady 2.5%, 3%. And so that's what we see our budgeting constantly at 2.5%, 3%. So that's the story with the sales taxes. We'll see where it goes. We're only 2 months in, but that would conclude most of what I'd have for a report, unless we have any see any questions or have anything we'd like to see for next meeting. Good, thank you.
Thank you very much. Next item.
Item 7, hearing from citizens.
Oh, is there anyone that would like to make comments tonight? You're here for the dance studio, right? Okay, great. Is there anyone online? Okay, we'll move on right along. Next item.
Item number 8, Bill 3013, an ordinance approving an agreement with St. Louis County, Missouri for placement of a license plate recognition camera, second reading.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. I'm Dave Barry, Deputy Chief of Police. Chief Andrusky couldn't be here tonight, so I'm going to be here for the second reading of Bill 3013. The ordinance for the city of Olivet, Missouri, approving an agreement with St. Louis County, Missouri for placement of license plate reading cameras on St. Louis County right-of-ways. This is a requirement of St. Louis County, Missouri, that city of Olivet or any other city wanting to use their right-of-ways for cameras, they adopt an ordinance approving the agreement. And for the placement of the cameras, this agreement will not be executed by St. Louis County until such an ordinance is passed. So unless you guys have any questions, I know Chief Andrusky answered some at the last meeting, but if there's any questions on, hopefully I can answer. Other than that, we would like to recommend the city council vote to approve the bill 3013 and passing the ordinance, which will allow the city of Olivet to enter into an agreement with St. Louis County for placement of the license plate reading cameras.
I know that Councilmember Knox was not at the first reading. Did you have any questions, or you're good to go? Okay. I'll be happy to entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that city council vote to approve Bill 3013, an ordinance approving an agreement with St. Louis County, Missouri for placement of license plate recognition cameras.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
Yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes.
Mayor Weil.
Yes.
The motion is passed by action of the Olivet City Council. Bill 3013 becomes ordinance 2783.
Thank you. Next item.
Item number 9, Bill 3014, an ordinance fixing the annual rate of tax levy for 2023 on all property within the city of Olivet, providing for the extension of said taxes on the books of the collector by the county clerk, and providing for the collection thereof. Second reading and public hearing.
Good evening once again, Mayor and Council. We do have a public hearing scheduled for tonight, so if we can open that up if
Okay.
you would like.
I'll close the meeting as is and open up for public hearing.
Sure. Thank you. My name is Darren Mann and I'm the finance director for the city. And in front of us tonight, we have our the second reading for our tax rates. And with if we scroll down just a little bit through the memo itself, the ordinance there sets the tax rates and more the legalese part of this. Some of the key points we have here with the memo is kind of our process. I won't go over that unless we'd like to hear it kind of again of the fourth step in our process here tonight is to actually set the rates that end up on the tax bills. One of the first thing we look at there is the assessments, and the assessments on residential are up about 15%, and on the commercial side about 20%. And this good news on the commercial side we were kind of discuss here in a second. according to the Hancock Amendment, which is the inverse relationship between assessments and rates, we do see rates go down about 4% on the residential side and down 8% on the commercial side. And the difference there is roughly inflation factoring in some of our new construction figures. Inflation is capped according to the Hancock Amendment at 5%. So we do reach that, and we do have the assessments in order to collect that. And that's good news. We've the last couple of years, our commercial evaluations hadn't increased enough to actually recapture all of the inflation allowed amounts, but we do have this year. So what does that mean? Overall, our collections for budgeting are up 10% on both the residential and then the commercial side. So that was predicted within a pretty decent reasonable amounts when we're doing our budget. So that means our budget's figures are good. As we go through here, really this top chart is the residential valuations in blue behind, and then the green are the rates themselves. And you can see a really nice inverted relationship between rates going down as the blue lines kind of go up. Now, the commercial side has an interesting story, and you can see a rapid decline here over the last, especially 5 and 6 years. But the blue line that we see that's goes all the way across, this year, this 2023 will represent the first time since 2000. Actually, it's a new high for the city of Olivet. And this is a recovery from 2006. So the first time we've reached the valuations at 63.7 million, which was the previous high in 2006. As the finance director, I'll say that was a really good financial and sound practices. Carlos would say that this is probably because of the comprehensive plan. And the city manager says this is all the work of the city council. So maybe it's a combination of all these things, but it's a positive light. As you can see, some of these, there are caps and highs where these green lines can go. And we thankfully didn't have to kind of reach up there in order to maintain these city services that we had. And now we can see for sure that the inverse relationship is in play here as this blue line increases and the green bar goes down to 0.655%. So the only other thing I would have here is where does this meet with our budgeting? I kind of mentioned it below, or sorry, before, but the collections needed are well within where these tax rate put us. The figures that we get for the assessment leaves us in a little bit of a guessing game about where the rates will, or the assessments will go from July into September after the Board of Equalization gets done with their work. And so we're a little tight there in the general fund and the pension fund. Looks like A-okay. The county takes a little bit of a cut in order to do the collection and assessment process. And then some people just aren't able to pay their taxes on time. And so we don't get to collect them within that year. And so that results in historically between a little bit above 95% of our collections occur within this year. And you can see in the general fund, we're at 97%. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. In the end, the city does get its money. It's just a matter of which year and over what time period. So that's all I'd have for a public hearing, kind of a presentation, and up to you. I'll hand it back over to you, Mayor, for what we do for the public hearing and the second reading.
Are there any comments, questions?
But is that after or during?
During.
Okay, all right. I do, Mr. Mann, just, give us the correlation. Here's where I'm going. When was the ability to appeal commercial value assessments? Is that process over and done? And we're clear with the numbers of what our commercial property values will be determined and assessed for in Olivet? Or are we gonna get a surprise?
The Board of Equalization, by state law is done. The process has been complete, and the certified results of this assessment should be complete. Now, this didn't happen a couple of years ago, so I shouldn't say that it can never. I don't know what happened those couple of years ago. It was during COVID, and so I don't know what it was. But yes, these are certified rates at the post Board of Equalization that we should be able to set our tax rates on with confidence in order to. And you mentioned some of the protests. The protesting actions that happen after this, and that's a whole nother whole nother process, but it does release, result in sometimes us not getting that money, right away.
Are there any other questions? Okay, then I'll close the public hearing and we'll move on to a call for the motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we approve Bill 3014, an ordinance fixing the annual rate of tax levy for 2023 on all property within the city of Olivet, providing for the extension of said taxes on the books of the collector of the county clerk by the county clerk and providing the collection thereof as presented.
Thank you.
Second,
Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox,
yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes,
Mayor Weil.
Yes.
The motion is passed by action of the Olivet City Council. Bill 3014 becomes ordinance 2784.
Thank you, Mr. Mann.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Item 10, Bill 3015, an ordinance authorizing a special permit to OL3 BP Associates LLC to operate a dance studio, 2007 NAICS 6116, not to exceed 12,125 square feet at the Olivet Center and to be known as the St. Louis Dance Academy, within the tenant space addressed as 9565 Olive Boulevard, Zone COR Commercial Real Estate Office District. First reading.
Good
Good
evening,
evening.
Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Carlos Trejo. I'm the Director of Planning and Community Development with the City of Olivet. And tonight, I'll just note that the council has held the first reading on this bill. The second reading is scheduled for October 10th in conjunction with a public hearing. The public hearing is to consider authorizing a special permit to the St. Louis Academy of Dance to take the tenant space at 9656 Olive Boulevard, the former Tuesday morning tenant space. Under our current COR district, which is the underlying zoning for the property, a dance studio such as St. Louis Academy of Dance in excess of 5,000 square feet requires a special permit. It's just by code. So the petitioner's been working with staff along with the property owners to proceed through the process. They went through the Plan Commission last week with a unanimous recommendation to the commission to authorize special permit use. I'll provide a more specific presentation and go over the components of the comprehensive plan at our next meeting. If there's any questions, Mayor, I'd be glad to answer. And we do have representatives of the property owner and St. Louis Academy of Dance. Sure. Casey, you want to come up and I've been working with Casey since I think it was 2014 was when you guys moved.
That's right, 2004.
I was afraid to say that.
2004.
Yes.
Yes,
So they are an existing business or
Yeah.
resident here in Olivet.
so we moved from 904 Warson in 2004. So I think we were technically Creve Coeur. And then we moved in 2004, and then in 2012, we built out to the whole building of where we are now. And then this will be technically the studio's third location and is in its existence. It's been in existence since the 80s.
What kind of dance do you do? Is it tap? Is it jazz? Is it ballet?
Everything. We have ballet, tap, jazz, modern, contemporary, pre-dance, point, hip hop, palms, tumbling, you name it.
Sure enough.
And everything in between.
I'm just asking, my daughter did competitive dancing,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, we have a performing company. We perform throughout local events. When we used to do the Olivet Fall Fest at Summerfest. Yeah, Summerfest, we would perform there. And they compete a lot, so it's fun too.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll see you in 2 weeks on October 10th.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trejo.
Yes, ma'am.
Carlos. On the paper here, you mentioned it correctly as 9650 or 56.
Yeah.
And on here, it's 65. It's just inverted.
No, I see it one way here. 9656, where you,
Under the bill.
here.
is it in two?
He's on the
Oh,
agenda.
I'm on the agenda.
Yeah.
You're actually on the actual ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can fix that.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little dyslexia, no problem.
Do we not have a business within the Olivet Center that sells the dance wear, dance skin and stuff like that? So when we want to talk about our comprehensive plan and how one thing connects to another, we'll now have a dance studio in the same area where stuff that you dance with gets sold. And that's a good, connection and reconnection there. So that's interesting. And I just to me, kind of full circle of how something is joining with another in that spot. And let's get more places for them to eat at and hang out at while their kids are practicing.
Now,
You're
will the
on.
dance studio sell retail? Okay. So it won't interfere with the other business.
Very good.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trejo. Next item.
Item 11, Public Works State Qualified Vendor List Truck Purchase.
So buying video or buying videos, buying trucks is a new market. I think we've heard this from, am I on?
Nope.
From other departments, the challenges of purchasing vehicles. In 2020, during the pandemic, the state of Missouri Purchasing Office came up with a new procurement method called the Qualified Vendor List. And this was a response to dealerships saying, we can no longer guarantee you price, build, availability, anything that you were accustomed to pre-COVID. Beforehand, we would go to the state contract and it was just a grocery list of all the different options you had from cars, trucks, vans, and everything. So with this new approach, essentially the state goes out and it's almost like a qualified business selection, a QBS process. They qualify, they send out requests for credentials from all of the dealers in the state to provide vehicles to state agencies or municipal partners like the city of Olivet. We had been in touch with a couple of the dealers about availability with the ordering bank, the timeline when you can actually order the truck and get it placed for putting in production on the build line. And I had a unicorn pop up when I was calling in to check the date with one of the vendors, Joe Mackins Ford, that they had for the first time in 15 years, a truck on the lot that would work for what we need. So what we did is we went and reviewed the QVL process and we issued a PQF, a price quote form following the procedures to the vendors that are available to sell trucks, the medium duty truck. So what we have here is a request to replace 2011 F-750. And you might have heard me complain about this truck over the years. It was the first generation to have both a diesel exhaust filter and selective catalyst reduction. The air coming out of this is almost cleaner than what goes in, but it has been a problem child for us. So much that I actually have a budget line just for emissions related cleaning and repairs. And the real source of the issue is we don't drive highway speeds. We spend all of our lives at idle 5, 10, 15 miles an hour, either hauling or pushing snow. And it just doesn't work as they intended for a highway speed vehicle. So we are actually requesting a smaller frame truck, an F-650. The reason for that is since we got the skid steer with the hydraulic hammer and a backhoe with a grapple, our tear out procedure for concrete and asphalt has gotten different. We're not needing to use that heavier weight class truck to take bigger chunks of concrete. We're able to take smaller pieces in the smaller pickups. So what we'll do with this one is we'll put a lighter bed on it. It'll be what they call a stake bed, basically a flat bed, so it won't have as much weight on it, which will give us the capacity for the salt. We are intending to reuse the spreader. The V-Box spreader that is off of the existing 6425. We've taken very good care of that. We expect to be able to reuse it, but we will need to reorder a plow when the time comes to submit for the body build. I'd be glad to answer any questions. I just rattled off an awful lot about the truck.
Moving one truck from one department to the next.
No, this truck.
So you're moving one truck from another department to another, or you're buying another truck completely?
Yeah, this truck, when it's taken out of service, will go on auction. It's really of no use to another department. It is too big of a weight class for to even drive in the parks.
What do you think the dollar value for that 750 is?
Rolla, I mean, it has low mileage on it. I mean, there's less than 15,000 miles on it. It has lots of engine hours, a lot of rust. I mean, aside from the corrosive nature of the existence of the truck, we've done a good job taking care of it. It just would be a matter of somebody, would probably want to take the bed off and put a new bed on it. I would hope we would get maybe $30,000-$40,000 for it based on some other sales. Just because that diesel has such low mileage on it. With a little bit of a rebuild, I think they could do, somebody could do something with it.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Mr. McGregor? Okay, I'd be happy to entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to authorize the city manager to issue a purchase order for Joe Manchin Ford in the amount not to exceed $77,475 for the purchase of one 2024 F-650 chassis.
Second.
Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox.
Yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes.
Mayor Weil.
Yes,
Madam
Motion
Mayor,
is
if I can
passed.
follow up on one question.
yes, please.
So on the bottom of this, Madam City Manager, it identifies and in the capital improvement number 35, the amount is for $135,000. And this is 77,000. Am I missing something, or are we saving money, or something else intended for the remainder of that $135,000 down the road?
He's buying a chassis. He's got to put the bed on the truck. And I believe the bed of the truck is going to take a portion of that remainder.
Yes. So number one, when we created the budget, we didn't know what the 2025 model year, nobody knew what the pricing was. So we did put an extra amount on top, surplus. But yeah, we do have to build all the hydraulics, the electrics, the electronics, light package, the hoist for the bed, a plow. So there'll be another substantial request coming probably in early November. This sort of opportunity came up as a bit of a surprise. So I usually am going through this process in parallel where we're speccing the truck and the build together. So I haven't done the build yet. And so I doubt we'll get this completely ready to go in service by the end of the snow season. I'd love to be optimistic and say so. But it just depends on the availability of all the other pieces.
All right, you just answered my follow-up question. You don't think it's going to be in working order for this season? Thanks.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. McGregor.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, next item, please.
Item 12, request to surplus vehicle.
You want me to do that one?
As we've acquired and purchased and now taking delivery on some police vehicles, we go through the evaluation process of the fleet of needs and status of the vehicles coming off. And this 2019 Ford Taurus with about 66,000 miles and currently in the police department has been identified as an asset that we would no longer like to hold within the city fleet and are requesting surplus for it. And that's pretty much sums it up. More than happy again to ask any questions as it relates to other things as we buy and sell these things.
Are there any questions? Councilmember Clark? I'm not, Carl, I thought you, nope.
I'm ready to. make a
Okay.
motion.
Let's entertain a motion.
And I'm gonna make a motion to declare asset 914 as surplus.
Second,
Call for the vote?
Councilmember Clark,
yes.
Councilmember Knox.
Yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
Yes,
Mayor Weil.
Yes.
The motion is passed.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Item 13, hearing from citizens, part 2.
Don't see any citizens in the room that would like to have any comments. So. on to the next item.
Item 14, review and approval of minutes.
Did anyone see any corrections?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion, we approve the council minutes from September 12th, 2023 as read or as presented.
A second,
Call for the vote?
Councilmember Clark,
yes.
Councilmember Knox.
Yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
yes,
Mayor Weil.
Yes,
Motion is passed.
thank you. Next item?
Item 15, city attorney's report.
Madam Mayor, I have no report, but would request a closed session under 610.021.1 for attorney-client communications.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
Call for the vote?
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Councilmember Knox.
Yes.
Councilmember Carl,
Yes.
Chairman Pro Tem Waldman,
yes.
Mayor Weil.
Yes,
Motion is passed.
thank you. We'll move into closed session. We are back from closed session and I would be happy to, no decisions were made, I would be happy to entertain a motion.
So moved. Will we adjourn? Who do we adjourn?
Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Good night.
Peace, love. and understanding.